I want to go ahead and bring in my panel here. They are bringing in good news from my state of Massachusetts. You have seen them here before. Last time they came on, they were promoting, or they were trying to get a bill passed in the State House for a Freedmen Affairs Committee. And it seems as though now we have good news. So let's go ahead and bring them in. I'll let them introduce themselves. Welcome.
Welcome.
Hello.
Hi, hey, can Sabby. You see me?
I can
hello,
see you.
Hello, how you doing?
Hello.
Welcome.
How are you? Good evening. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. I think there's a little bit of a delay. So if I can just ask everyone just to mute really quick, yes. If you're not speaking. And then when you speak, just go ahead and unmute. So I want to let everyone introduce themselves. Let's start with Naheem.
Hey, everybody. How you doing? Glad to be back on Sabby Sabs. Happy New Year's. Shout out to everybody that's listening. I am Naheem Wade, president and co-founder of United Sons and Daughters of Freedmen.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Antonia. Just got to unmute yourself, Antonia.
Unmute?
There you go.
We can hear you. It won't unmute.
You're unmuted. I'll explain to everybody. Yeah, we can hear you. This is Antonia. Antonia also, she's a part of the reparations task force here in Boston.
Okay.
And then Ali.
Hey, how's it going? This is Brother Ali, co-founder of the United Sons and Daughters of Freedmen, also the director of history and research for the organization.
Okay, so let's go ahead and we'll get started with Naheem. Last time you guys were here, you were talking about this bill. Let me go ahead and bring this up on the screen here. It's called Bill H4351. It's an act to establish a Massachusetts Agency of Freedmen Affairs. And Antonia reached out to me over the holidays to tell me some good news. I think she might be having some connection issues. So I'll go ahead and pivot to you, Naheem. What is the news about this bill currently now?
Well, the bill has gone through a joint committee, and I have my notes here so I can get everything correct. That joint committee is the State Administration and Regulatory Oversight. It was a 10-person committee. All 10 committee persons voted in the affirmative on the bill, and they gave it what's called an ought to pass. In Massachusetts legislative procedure, an ought to pass is the strongest committee recommendation that a bill can receive, which means that the committee agrees with the substance of the bill. The committee believes that the bill should move forward and that the bill is not being rejected, delayed, or sent to study. My team and I put in a lot of work, especially with the Judiciary Committee of the state of Massachusetts, proving that Freedmen's status is the way that we should be moving with this bill to avoid the pitfalls of strict scrutiny, Supreme Court challenges, and the usual attacks that come from people that don't believe that we should receive any remedial justice.
Okay, really quick, Ali. So basically what you're saying is that this bill has now made it out of committee, which I see as a positive thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's made it out of committee. It looks like we're gonna get ourselves an agency in that state. That's what it looks like, Sabby. You know,
this is a really big deal, you guys. I know we hear a lot of bad news recently, and it's really good to have some good news. Antonia, could you explain to everyone again what is the significance of this bill? And I'll go ahead and put it up on the screen here for people.
Sure. So just historically, the team and I have worked really hard across the nation and specifically in Massachusetts to enforce American freedmen status. And as the brothers have said, it's a class, it's a status for a class of people who are formerly emancipated. And so we have 4 million formerly emancipated slaves who are enslaved in the United States that have gone unnoticed. And through Reconstruction period, all those things that were promised to us were really reneged on. And this status still is the 13th Amendment. It's still prevalent. We just have never enforced it. Because we have all these initiatives that are going across the nation, for reparations that we haven't ignited. It was united by other people. We basically wanted to make sure that the verbiage and the language in any legislation is correct. And so, because we don't focus on race-based initiatives or legislation, we basically make sure that we advocate highly for American freedmen status. And that's a non-racial status. It's based on heritage. It's based on a class of people who have this status through the 13th Amendment, based on the Emancipation Proclamation. And we thought it was important that if we're going to have anything tied to reparations, we wanted to make sure that we had an Office of Freedmen Affairs. And it kind of mirrors the Freedmen's Bureau that was basically dismantled and disheveled. So we're wanting to make sure that our lineage and our heritage and status as this class of people are recognized. And I think it's really important, especially in light of that we just don't have people who speak about our heritage just being erased every day. And so that's why it was important for the team to make sure that this was a high advocacy project. And it's historical. We're really proud of the accomplishments we made. Really proud. So for us and for the United States and for Massachusetts, this is really historical. And we want to make sure that we celebrated it with you, because it was because of you that we were able to initially bring it out to the community. And so we thought that when we released this information, because we've known since December that after the holidays, we were able to share it on your platform. So we thank you.
I'm so proud of you guys. Like, I really am. Could you explain to everyone what was the process like for people watching? Let's say they may want to submit a bill to their state house for whatever issue that they're trying to advocate for. What was the process that you had to go through to get this done?
So I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. A lot of people ask us, what are the step-by-step, processes to get this done? And so basically, a lot of people don't know that your state reps and your senators basically work on behalf of you. The brothers, I think Josh is missing, and Abraham and Naheem and Ali sat down, and we all wanted to write this proposal. And they can tell you more about the in-depth process of the proposal. I took it to the state rep, who was Brandy Fluker Reed. She believed in it. She submitted it, and basically we just worked it along the way. And the hard work is to get people to testify on behalf of the legislation. So at the last minute, we were told about the hearing. And I want to give a huge shout out to those who supported me, who were actually in the room, who gave testimony that day, and all those who had written testimonies. And that's really the formula. But I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. If we didn't have the team of knowledgeable brothers that we have on United Sons and Daughters, I don't think it would have went through. And so the first process of submitting the proposal was to get it to the state rep. Because most people aren't familiar with the American Freedmen verbiage, it went through House Counsel, which means that anything that doesn't kind of like make sense, they want to make sure and they scrub it, and it goes through legal formats to make sure that the verbiage is correct. And guess what? It went through. And there's not really that, I think there may be like one sentence in the proposal that's been changed. So what we submitted, what you see today, and what was approved is what we all sat down and we wrote. And the brothers, I can take my hats off for them for their legal expertise and the historical knowledge that they have to make this happen. So really, it was just basically putting the heads together, writing exactly what we want. And we're really proud of the fact that we got exactly what we wanted. There was no changes, no arguments. And so the state administration and regulatory committee voted unanimously for this. And we're really proud of it. And it's on its way to the House Ways and Means for a budget. And so we'll get more update information next week when we talk to the state rep. So brothers, do you want to talk about the verbiage, how complicated it was to do the verbiage? It was easy for them, but they can talk more about how they wrote it.
Well, one thing I want to say really quick before Naheem chimes in, I think what's important for people to take away from this, notice what Antonia said. They had a representative that believed in it.
He did.
And I think that is really important. And this is why, like, you really do have to know who your state representatives are. You need to know who the representatives are in the state house. I think a lot of people know who's in Congress, but you need to know who's in the state house. I'll pass it to you, Naheem.
Definitely. The bill is based on our needs, right? Reparations, when we think about reparations, we sort of think about it in one way. But if you look at affirmative action, that was a reparation. If you look at the old Freedmen's Bureau, that was a reparation, right? Reparations is plural. That's when you have this package deal. And one of the things that we were cognizant of while we were writing the bill was the ways in which we would help the American freedmen in the state of Massachusetts. This proposal actually got submitted to some state reps in South Carolina, Republicans that actually agreed with it as well, right? So it shows that there is, some bipartisan support for what we are presenting for our people. And, just to be brief, some of the things that is in the bill deals with workforce development, um, you know, focusing on the poor and downtrodden in the state. So if you are behind on your bills, we want to ensure that we can keep you up on your bills and things like that. Some of the things that nonprofits are set to do, but we see that those resources are going to other communities and not to the American Freedmen. Most of the time, we don't even know about any of these programs to help our people. And just, to wrap it up, because there's a bunch of different things that I could speak about the bill. This bill is designed to bring some form of relief to our citizenry in the state of Massachusetts, and we're hoping to replicate this across the nation, and with the ultimate goal being a federal office of Freedmen Affairs.
Yeah, I'll pass it next to you, Ali. Again, I never like. This is why I tell people, like, I think you're going to see most of these wins on the local level. I really do. I think that somehow we just kind of skipped over the state or the city, and people are like, let's just go to contact Congress, or let's try to get in touch with the president, when you have local representatives right there in your state, right there in front of you. Ali, I wanted to pass it to you.
Yeah, absolutely. So these particular initiatives, state level, local initiatives, are great. We were just having conversations about this, particularly being that San Francisco just did an ordinance, a reparations ordinance. We have our particular opinions about it, but one of the good things about what the state of California has done with San Francisco, Evanston, New York, Massachusetts, etc. I think Philly has something going on. I believe Atlanta has something going on. What we are doing, even at the local or state level, is we're getting these political subdivisions to admit to culpability, right? Not only culpability, but responsibility for some type of remedial action. And so ultimately, we do want to go to the federal level, but by getting the subdivisions to admit culpability, now you have portions of the United States admitting that, yes, something happened, and we are willing to take responsibility for it and try to remedy the problem. So if you can get the divisions of the United States to admit that, you should be able to then get the United States to admit the same at some point in time. Hopefully, that's the goal. That's the goal.
Yeah, I mean, I just, again, I love this. 1 second. Had to clear my throat. I absolutely love this. If you're just joining again, this is a big win here in Massachusetts, an act establishing a Massachusetts Agency of Freedmen Affairs. So the bill has made it out of committee, which is a really good positive sign, because if a bill basically doesn't make it out of committee, that means that obviously the representatives are not interested in pushing it forward and having a vote on it. But I think this is a big deal. And for those who are not aware, Antonia was in my documentary, Remove Black Erasure in Boston. And so we have worked together quite a bit for the past couple of months. And I just have to tell, like to all of you, I mean, those of you guys grew up here, but I moved here, obviously, in 2011, and I've learned so much from all of you. And I think that the fact of something like this starting in Massachusetts, I think it's a really big deal, and it should be no problem for like South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia. People should be advocating there to do the same thing. But knowing what I know through the research and everything that we talked about in the documentary, the fact that this is moving forward in Massachusetts, I think is a really big deal.
And I'd like to just say that, I'm sorry, can I just say that the reason why Massachusetts was so compelling for me is I grew up here and understood the racial tension in Massachusetts, because we are named the #1 racist state and city of Boston across the nation. The Boston Globe did an article on it. But the bigger piece is that Massachusetts sanctioned slavery in 1641, the first colony to do so, and the first colony to activate Jim Crow laws. So Massachusetts has a lot of history complicit in enslavement and the disadvantages and to our people with the badges and incidents that have occurred and continue to do so today. And that was one of the reasons why I really pay homage to you to doing the documentary Removed. It just shows that the residuals of slavery still exist, and the people that have been faced the most diverse, just say disparities, are Black Americans who are American freedmen. And a lot of people don't give us that recognition, that respect. A lot of people think that, oh, I'm treated horribly in Massachusetts or Boston, whatever, because I'm Black, but not necessarily knowing our history. So I thank you for that. And I just want to also give a huge shout out to Antonio Cabral and his team at the the state administration and regulatory committee, who really came back and said, we want deep found testimonies. And when we testified that day, he really respected and was overwhelmed by our testimonies because they were impactful, they were real, they were true. They were really stories of how our families migrated to Boston and Massachusetts in the late 20s, 30s, and 40s and faced racial discrimination after escaping it from the South. And he really needed to hear that. And so his team was really compelled by our testimonies and the information and the testimonies and the presentation from the brothers. So that's what really got us where we are today. The fact that they respected and listened to us, and it wasn't like, oh, get over it. Slavery happened so long ago. He was really interested in hearing what we had to say.
Yeah. So does everybody see what you can do on the local level? Some of these things that you can get accomplished locally? Like this is what I was talking about. I think a lot of times people think the fight is always got to be in DC, and that's not necessarily the case. And if you look at, some of these, like some of the things that people fight for and push for on the federal level have already passed in the states. And that didn't just come out of nowhere. Like people put in the work. Curious, Naheem, when you guys got together to write the language for this, because some people may need to know about that, how did you decide what was the correct language to use for this bill?
Well, it's all predicated upon looking at the needs of our people. What are the areas of harm and how can we address those? And we looked at the state of Massachusetts and we tried to identify specific areas of harm. And that is what went into drafting the legislation and making sure that it was centered in a way that it would survive any legal challenge by people like Ed Bloom and other type organizations. So that was it, just looking at what our people need and crafting legislation in a way that we can get resources to them without anybody stopping us from doing that. And that was it.
This is awesome, you guys. What's the next step from here, Antonia?
Well, the next step is we'll be meeting with State Rep Fluker Reed on the 13th. We'll be getting an update as to what to expect from the House Ways and Means Committee. That's where the bill is going to. We've been asked to come up with a reasonable budget to present, and from there it goes to the governor's. That's from what I understand, and we'll have more information on the 13th next week when we meet with her. And so, from like Naheem said, it's an emergency preamble. Our expectation is once the bill goes through House Ways and Means with a budget and the governor signs it, it's activated immediately. And I just want to say one thing. We're really looking for people to mirror this across the nation. This is really important that our heritage and our lineage, I know these are words that are very, transformable, is recognized. And this is basically foolproof. We're asking for nothing. It's something no different than anybody else. When we looked at the history of Massachusetts, they have a commission on Asian, a commission on Latinos. They have a commission on LGBT. They have a commission on Haitian. There's nothing for us. There's nothing specifically for American freedmen or the descendants of slaves. And so this was something that to me has to be done. We can't talk about reparations. We can't talk about repairing the harms unless we have this put in place. So to be perfectly honest, we're looking for people to team up with us, join membership, so that we can give them the blueprint so they can start to activate this in their own cities and states. And I think it's really necessary across the nation.
All right. Okay. Thank you to all of you again, guys. This is something that you can try to do things locally. This is what I was talking about. So I consider this to be a win. And please, like all of you, well, Anthony, I talked to you, keep me updated and let me know how it goes.
Yes, we will. And so again, you can contact us at usadof.org. Diva'sDoodles.org. That's the website. And please just connect with us so we can get some workshops going, so we can train people how to get this stuff done across the nation. And I want to thank you again for allowing us to share this news with you. It was really important that we didn't forget those who started off with us in the beginning, and we wanted to make sure you're the first person that we shared this with. So thank you again. And happy
And if I
2020. Go on,
if I can add real quick, our email address is Freedmen at USADOF.org. Again, that's Freedmen at USADOF.org. If you're interested in working with us and replicating this in your locale, send us an email.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much.
All right, Sabby.
Bye-bye now. Have a wonderful evening. Bye-bye.
Hey guys, this was a Sabby clip. If you like what you saw, hit that like button and subscribe.